Throwing up roadblocks serve the public interest. Abridging voting rights never does. As soon as the ruling came down, colleges and universities across the state offered their campuses as early voting sites. And this year, there will be early voting sites at Florida State, the University of Florida, and Florida Atlantic, and many others. Despite the judge's ruling, one of the only counties to refuse to use college campuses was Miami-Dade County. After his staff tried working with county officials to resolve the issue, Miami-Dade College President Eduardo Padron wrote the election supervisor, "I was surprised your office did not welcome the opportunity to add more voting locations for Miami-Dade County residents. I write today to urge you to reconsider. We would hope your office could see this as an opportunity to inspire a new generation to get more involved, to become more active members of their communities, and to cast their vote." Now, in response, the county argued college sites were not needed, saying they will have 25 early voting sites, more than they've had in any previous midterm election. Some of those sites, they say, are near various colleges. So where are we now? Joining me now is Marisol Zenteno, president of the Miami-Dade League of Women Voters. The league has been leading the effort to get early voting on college campuses across the state. Marisol, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Jim. It's a pleasure.
So we're taping this Friday morning, and just as we started taping, we're hearing there may be some movement that county officials may be now reaching out to FIU and to other groups to sort of scout out early voting sites for this November. That's a positive sign. That's what you want, right?
Yes, it is. We had that press conference yesterday, the clip that you saw with Samantha, and we urged the mayor and the supervisor of election to have the early voting sites. And as he said yesterday, actually yesterday afternoon, that they're reconsidering. And from what we're getting this morning, it looks like they might be on at the FIU campus checking out the sites in order to have the elections there, which will be great. This is what we want. We want the young voters to go out and vote.
So you mentioned Mayor Jimenez put out a statement yesterday.
Yes.
Let's put that statement up now, and I'll read it for you. The recent federal ruling allows early voting on college campuses as an option. We are looking into that possibility, and we'll make a decision as we consider various scenarios that ensure accessibility for all. You know, the mayor points out that it's an option, but when you read the judge's ruling, it's pretty clear that denying early voting sites on college campuses is really voter suppression in a lot of ways by keeping young people from having easy access to voting.
Right, that's correct. 2018, we've had an unprecedented amount of young students registering to vote, over 14,000 in Miami-Dade County alone. So by making that easy and accessible to them, the way that the supervisor of elections says it should be, they should have access. It's very hard for students to drop their school. Just yesterday with Samantha, she had to run back to campus in order to take a test. All the responsibilities that they have to be able to do this, is very important that they have the early voting on campus.
Well, and it's not, while the students are a major component,
but the faculty also.
The staff, there's a lot of people who work at these locations.
I myself, for example, I live in North Miami, and I am privileged that I have an early voting site where I work. So I just do it in my lunch hour or after work, instead of having to battle traffic that I don't know at what time I will get home to vote at my home precinct.
The league took this fight on. I know it was you're the president of the Miami-Dade.
Yes.
I know the Florida League is the one who went to court up in Tallahassee, sued in federal court, that eventually won along with those students and got this ruling. Why, what is it about the league that makes this a priority? Why are you so engaged in this issue, making sure people have the right to vote and the access to vote?
Well, the league started 98 years ago when the women didn't have the right to vote. With Amendment 19, we became part of the community, and the mission of the league is to educate, advocate, and protect voting rights, because voter suppression is the worst thing that can happen to any democracy. If people vote, that's when democracy works, because our voices are heard, and these young people, they want to be participant in this. They want to have a say on this.
But you hear all the time, I hear it, I'm sure you do, young people today, they really don't care about voting. They're excitement numbers, the number of young people actually turn out to vote is very low. So it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We say they're unlikely to vote, so why put early voting sites on their college campuses, because they won't vote and then they don't vote, so why put it on? You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
I do, and that's something that they always say, that there's apathy amongst the young children. However, in 2018, unfortunately, with the tragedy of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas and the whole March of Our Lives movement, they are participating. They want to have a voice. They want to control their futures. You and I and most of us watching this show are probably close to the sunset of our years, right?
Well, no, that's not good. I'm not ready to sunset just yet.
No, not yet, but they are in the prime of their lives and starting. So we're seeing that they want to be participant. They want to design, and they want to see and pick their leaders and have a chance to say who their elected officials are. Students want to participate, and we heard it yesterday in the press conference. It was such a moving thing to hear them.
Well, and the press conference was good to hear from. You heard from young Republicans, you heard from young Democrats, you heard from a lot of people. Just a week ago, we had the folks from Next Gen America, a group that has been registering voters across the state, been investing money to try to do this. So I do think you are seeing a difference in young people turning out this time than before. But one of the things that troubled me when I got into this issue was the cost that they were claiming that the early voting sites were going to be for the county. The county claims that an early voting site cost them about $124,000 to operate. Now, look, at the end of the day, cost should not be a factor into whether or not we want people to vote and make those opportunities. But that number struck me, and I will just sort of tell you, I don't believe it's a good number. I think that the county has padded its number in a way that when you break down, when we actually got the breakdown of how they plan their things, they're paying workers $30 an hour, in overtime. The entire structure of the way the county is doing this is highly suspicious. I don't think it really costs $124,000. And if the county was better managed and better run, I don't think you would see that. So that cost should not be an issue, one. And two, it shouldn't be even an issue based on the way they're actually putting the together. But aside from cost, you say you are seeing more excitement among young people.
Yes.
And what does that do for you?
It's great. I mean, we are, again, with Protecting Voting Rights, the League of Women Voters, we go and do voter registration drives all over. We have, it's National Voter Registration Day on September 25th, on Tuesday, a week from next Tuesday. And they are registering. We go out there and we register to vote. So what we're seeing is, like, it's not just registering to vote, but also getting them out to vote. If it's easy, they will vote because they have a say. They understand that they want to participate. They want people to they need to decide who's going to transportation, housing, all these things that they can't get to.
And I want to give credit to County Commissioner Danielle Levine-Cava. I know she spoke at your press conference. I know she's working behind the scenes to try to make this happen, to try to get early voting sites on college campuses. Broward is doing it. Pretty much every county across the state is, except for here.
Right.
So, we're going to stay on top of this story. Hopefully, by the time this airs, they will have announced early voting sites. But I expect something will change very soon. Marisol, I really appreciate. I'll give you the last word, real quick. 10 seconds.
We just need Miami-Dade County to step up to the plate. We're one of the largest counties.
All right.
And we need to have early voting on campus.
I got to cut you off there. Thank you very much. Up next, Republican gubernatorial candidate Ron DeSantis heads to the Everglades. Hear why he wants to appeal to voters as an environmentalist.